Hi everybody, it's Katie again, Director of Alumni Affairs at Shepherd University. We are here with another Roaming Rams Travel Talk session. Tonight we have Paul from Colette with us to talk about our Spotlight on Tuscany tour that's happening in May of 2026. So Paul, I'll let you go ahead and take over.
Thank you, Katie. Very glad to be here with you this evening. Welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us for this presentation on a very popular tour, one of my favorites, Spotlight on Tuscany. Once more, my name is Paul Julia. I'm the Business Development Manager for Colette in Maryland, Virginia, the District of Columbia, and a little bit of West Virginia as well. And very glad to be presenting on one of my favorite tours to you all. And I think you'll see why it's so darn popular in just a moment. But before we get started talking about the tour, for those of you who may not have traveled with Colette before, I always like to start off by telling folks why you might like to travel with Colette, why you might prefer traveling with Colette over another tour company. And of course, we are very proud to partner with Shepherd University Alumni Association to offer you these tours. We offer a premium experience designed to be immersive for the modern traveler. You're going to have a quality local tour manager with you from start to finish throughout your tour, taking care of you at every step of the way. They're going to impart lots and lots of expert destination knowledge to you throughout the tour. We have some of the best tour managers in the industry. I've heard from members of our executive team that tour managers from all over the travel industry are practically begging to come work for Colette because they've heard such great things about working for us from their peers. In addition to our expert tour managers, we like to add in an extra layer in many cases of expert local guides. So these are guides that are licensed by their municipality to guide in that municipality. So for example, a local guide who's licensed to be a guide in the city of Florence might not necessarily be able to act as a guide in a city like Rome or Venice. I can tell you from personal experience, the requirements to become a local guide in most of these places, especially in Europe, are quite stringent. You'll find that many of these local guides have advanced degrees in things like art history, architecture, and so forth. So they're really able to impart that deep dive knowledge to our guests. We're all about cultural immersion, so of course we want to take you to many must-see sites, but we also want to immerse you as much as possible in the local culture, giving you opportunities to get to know local peoples, get to know local cultures through various means. And one method that is really just super easy to get to know any culture, of course we do it often, even in America, is through its cuisine, right? So we like to sprinkle our tours heavily with culinary experiences, especially in a wonderful destination like Italy. This also means that whenever we include any dinners on tour, where it makes sense, where we're not in an extremely remote location, we are going to host those dinners at local restaurants rather than at a hotel restaurant where you're just going to be getting kind of a cookie cutter buffet experience. We prefer to get you out and about at those local restaurants where you can truly experience local flavors. In Italy, that's going to be accompanied by wine, of course, and you might even have the opportunity to meet some local peoples. We're not always traveling by motor coach with Colette, always, although most of the time we do. We do endeavor to get our guests off the motor coach as much as possible, doing a lot of walking tours, immersive tours, visiting wineries, farms, and so forth. But we also like to mix it up sometimes with our transportation as well, so you might find yourself doing camel rides with us in North Africa, or dog sledding in places like Alaska and Finland, riding around in tuk-tuks in Southeast Asia, boats, trains, specialty trains. We like to mix it up again with many different types of modes of transportation to give our guests a different perspective on the destinations they're visiting with us. And when we say designed by travelers for travelers, that's actually our new tagline, celebrating our 108th year in business now. What by travelers for travelers means is that, of course, we are all travelers, employees of Colette. We travel avidly and frequently, and this informs us with everything we do. But also, we take our guests' feedback very seriously, and it's helped us really grow in leaps and bounds over the last 108 years. So each of you, our travelers, will receive a post-tour survey from us, and we do ask that you respond to that survey as candidly as possible, because that's again, what's helped us grow and improve over 108 years in business. In addition to that 108 years of business, it might interest you to know that we've enjoyed a 30-year partnership with the Wheel of Fortune game show. So if you've ever watched that show, the trips that are given out as prizes at the end of that show for 30 years, those have been Colette trips. A few more points up on the screen here of why you might enjoy traveling with Colette. Our pacing has really been perfected, which means fewer one-night stays. And on this tour, it gets even better because the whole purpose of a spotlight is to stay at one hotel for the entire duration of the tour, packing and unpacking just once. We call our spotlight style of travel, another nickname is cruising on land for that very reason. But generally speaking, all of our tours, we're known for our pacing. We spend less time on the motor coach, more time enjoying our destination, less time packing and unpacking, and less time moving about unnecessarily. As I said before, it's a premium touring experience, so we're staying at four-star plus, and sometimes even five-star hotels. When we're staying in major city centers, those hotels are very centrally located, so that you're just footsteps away from all the action. What we mean by most inclusive tour operator is the following. Many tour companies have gotten into a bit of a bad habit. They want to rope travelers in with really attractive prices in their brochure on their website, and when you really dig through the itineraries, what you find is a common pattern. You know, you might see a price for like $19.99 to Italy or Greece, but once you read through the itinerary, you notice that a lot of the days are empty of activities. And if you really want the full experience, the expectation is that you'll purchase a bunch of optional excursions. You add all these optional excursions up, you could be on the hook for like over $1,000 more above that $19.99 price that roped you in. We prefer, on the other hand, to provide an inclusive experience where we're providing a good amount of activities in these tours, while at the same time providing our travelers the opportunity for leisure, for going off on their own, for resting and relaxing, and enjoying the destination at their own pace as well. So that's what we mean by most inclusive tour company. We average fewer than 3 optional excursions per tour, and I find that most of the time those are not must-sees that people feel they might miss out on if they don't purchase those optional excursions. And then the last set of points I have for you here, I've really gone over all of these, but I always love telling this story, which is about the gentleman in the image that is at the bottom of your screen right now wearing the sunglasses. That is Mohammed. He's one of our best tour managers, and he was our tour manager when our sales team visited Morocco in 2023. So we're in the beautiful country of Morocco, and we're in the city of Fez one morning in the old part of the city, and my colleague April DeLuca in New Jersey, her cell phone was stolen from her. She immediately reported the theft to Mohammed. To my amazement and everyone's amazement, including April's, of course, Mohammed handed April's cell phone back to her that very evening. I'm not implying that Mohammed stole the phone or was playing some prank. It's just that he knows everybody there is to know in Fez. He's a very well-connected guy, and he made it clear that whoever stole this phone with his contacts, he made it very clear that that thief was going to be in huge trouble. So the thief realized that discretion was the better part of valor and returned the cell phone. The reason I love telling this story is because it really showcases how a tour manager can take such good care of travelers while they're traveling with Colette. I have no doubt that had April been on her own in Morocco, her only recourse would have been to buy a new cell phone. And believe me, we really need that piece of technology to do our jobs as sales managers. So, a few more points of interest for you before we get started with the main event. One thing we're very well known for at Colette is our hometown pickup service. We're the only tour company that offers this service nationwide. What this means is that if you book your flights for this tour through Colette, we're going to provide a motor coach service to pick everyone up at Shepherd University, transfer you all to your local airport, and that is, of course, a round-trip service. So that leaves out the hassle of getting an Uber, getting a cab, paying for parking at the airport. We, in the Washington area where I live, we now have the worst traffic in the nation, so this is a great benefit to us all. Really takes the most stressful part often of a vacation, completely removes it from the equation. Your vacation is practically starting at your doorstep, and you're already having the opportunity to get to know your fellow travelers on your way to the airport. And guided travel doesn't have to always be so rigid. We make it easy for you to personalize your adventure through various means. A lot of our tours offer pre- and or post-tour extensions. if you'd like to explore a destination with us a little bit further, or if you'd like to simply stay a little bit longer in destination, you're always welcome to add additional nights to either the beginning and or the end of any of our tours. For dining experiences, as I've hinted at, I highly recommend that you have a conversation with your tour manager about any meals that are not included on tour. They're going to have the best recommendations for you for local restaurants, and they typically will reach out to our guests about a week prior to departure by email. This is a great opportunity for you to start a conversation with your tour manager, start asking those questions that you really want to know the answers to. They love it when you do that. It helps them feel like they're doing a great job. And then optional excursions, as I mentioned a moment ago, we tend to have fewer than 3 optional excursions on tour. And then if you're interested in air upgrades, we are including the price of economy class air. We've locked in that fare for you for this tour. However, if you're interested in premium economy or business class air, we can make that happen for you as well. In that case, however, I would recommend that you book with us as soon as possible, because while, again, we have the fare for economy class locked in, those fares for premium economy and business class are just going to creep up and up and up as we get closer to the departure date. We want to get you the best flights and fares, so I encourage you to book with us as soon as possible if that's the case. And then there's our cancel for any reason, no worries travel protection. The cancel for any reason aspect of it is truly the best in the business. To my knowledge, we're the only company that provides a full 100% cash refund. If you need to cancel and you've purchased our insurance, you can cancel for any time, at any time, right up to the day prior to the departure of your tour, and get a full cash refund of all the monies you've paid towards your trip at that point. So this is for any reason or no reason at all. This cancel for any reason insurance program is so robust, we kind of jokingly call it our bad hair day policy. And as you can see on this screen, once you're on tour with us, that's going to cover you just like any other trip insurance for medical assistance, emergency evacuation, baggage loss or trip delay or trip interruption, all with round-the-clock emergency 24/7 assistance. I'll tell you something else I really like about our insurance is the fact that a lot of trip insurance, the insurance premiums are based on the traveler's age and or their health, whereas our insurance premiums, it's a flat fee. Everyone pays the same amount. And then we have our loyalty program, so if you have traveled with Colette before, we'd like to thank you, first of all. And one of the ways in which we thank you is to provide certain advantages, credits that can deduct the price of your next tour with us, if you've traveled with us in the last 12 to 24 months, and if you've taken more than 3 tours with Colette, we've also got an additional $100 gift for you that can be applied towards any type of optional upgrades, optional excursions, that sort of thing on tour with Colette. And then just a quick word about passports and visas. U.S. visitors to Italy are exempt from needing a visa, so you don't need to worry about that. You must have a valid passport valid for up to 8 months beyond the travel dates to the destination country. But especially what I always like to point out on this slide is the importance of making sure that when you're registering for a tour with us, the name that you're entering on the registration form exactly matches to the letter of your name as it appears on your passport, including any middle initials and or middle names. The reason why I really drive this point home is because the TSA can be real sticklers about this, and there have been cases of people having been denied boarding for something as simple as one letter being off in their name in their travel documents. So please, I urge you to double and triple check that information as you're registering for a tour with us. If at some point you do detect a discrepancy, please reach out to us right away because we can fix it. Of course, that can be a bit of a stressful situation. And it can get rather expensive, especially if we don't find out till the 11th hour, because the airlines do charge name change fees, unfortunately. So, having covered all of that, let's dive into the main event here, our presentation on our wonderful Spotlight on Tuscany tour. This is a nice short tour, 9 days in total with 10 meals included. You'll see there's a little fork in the road icon located next to the word meals on your screen. This denotes our choice on tour feature. So that what this means is that on a given day of this tour, you'll be given a choice of 2 different activities that you can participate in that are included already in the price of your tour. So these are non-optional excursions that you have to pay extra for. This is designed to counter these the perception that guided travel always has to be so rigid, that we always have to do the same thing as the rest of the group is doing. Gives you a choice of a couple of different activities, quite different usually. And also, I like to point out that if we're traveling with a companion, sharing a hotel room with somebody for several nights at a go, maybe getting a break from each other to go off and do different activities isn't such a bad thing, especially if one of us snores. Then we get together in the evening, we tell each other stories about our wonderful day. So this tour is taking place at a great time to go to Tuscany, May 20th through the 28th of 2026. It's going to be warm, but not too warm for touring in this part of the world. You probably won't encounter any rain at all. If you do, it will be very sporadic. As generally speaking, Tuscany benefits from a mostly Mediterranean climate, which means at this time of the year they tend to get very little rainfall. You might find it's a little bit crowded at this time of year, but not at peak crowds because we're not quite into the summer months. But it is a great time of year to go. Again, the temperatures aren't too warm yet, which you want when you're on a walking tour, things like that, and you'll be assuredly under the Tuscan sun. So this one is really easy to kind of give you the view from 30,000 feet, so to speak, because, again, it's a spotlight tour, meaning that we stay in one hotel the entire length of the tour. So we're going to be staying 7 nights right in the heart, as you can see from the map here, right in the heart of Tuscany in a town called Montecatini Terme. Terme is the Latin word and the Italian word for baths. So as you can imagine, this is a spa town, much like Bath in England or Baden-Baden in Germany. People would come here to take the water, so to speak. 19th century we're talking about, a doctor would recommend to a particular person, you should go to Montecatini Terme and take the waters. That will help cure whatever ails you. And a couple of famous people who have stayed in Montecatini Terme are the opera composers Puccini, as well as, what's the other one? I think it's Verdi, if I recall correctly, have stayed in Montecatini Terme. So it's a wonderful town, quite upscale, as you can imagine, because, back in the day when people went to spas, they had to be quite wealthy usually to enjoy those spas. So 7 nights in Montecatini Terme, but you might notice there's also a couple of insets in the map. So we are offering an optional pre-tour extension to the Eternal City of Rome for 3 nights, and then you can extend your tour at the end with a wonderful optional post-tour extension through Reggio Emilia and Bologna. And you might be asking, why would we want to go to this part of Italy? Well, I will tell you, if you are a foodie, if you have not been to this part of Italy, you are really missing out. Bologna is, of course, where pasta bolognese comes from, spaghetti bolognese sauce, that famous, wonderful meat ragu sauce that so many Americans put on our spaghetti. And the area that we're exploring here is also where Parma ham comes from, Parmigiano-Reggiano cheese, as well as balsamic vinegar. And also, if you're a car guy or gal, Modena is, of course, where Ferrari comes from and where Enzo Ferrari was born. So we've also got some interesting Ferrari stuff in this post-tour extension. Once more, this is a spotlight tour. We have 5 different travel styles at Colette. We do small groups. We do full-size motor coach tours. We do some cruises. And we do some faith tours. The spotlights, again, are designed to stay at one hotel for the entire duration of the trip so that our guests just pack and unpack once. Nice and easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We operate these tours on 52 to 54-seater modern air-conditioned motor coaches equipped with Wi-Fi. However, we cap the maximum number of participants at just 44, meaning there's always a little bit of extra room on the buses. And we rate our tours on an activity level of 1 to 4, 1 being the least active, 4 being the most active. This tour is in activity level 3, and to give you a point of reference there, the vast majority of our tours in Europe are activity level 3. This is driven by the fact that there is no equivalent in Europe to the Americans with Disabilities Act, and also the fact that it's the old country. So especially a country like Italy, you'll find a lot of cobblestone streets and uneven surfaces. A lot of the towns we'll be visiting were built on high hilltops because, interesting factoid, that Italy actually became a country long after the United States. It was unified in 1861, and up until that point, it was a bunch of warring city-states that were constantly fighting with each other and fending off barbarian invasions. So they built their towns on high hills to defend themselves, and of course that means a lot of up and down. As a friend of mine once said to me, who's a real estate agent, if you want to live on the mountain, you got to go up the mountain. We're not going to be dealing with any mountains here, but there are some uneven surfaces and some steps and so forth. So, day one with on tour with Colette is when we're going abroad and we have an overnight flight. That is always the day that you depart the U.S. You will arrive into Florence Airport the following morning on day two, and we will transfer you to your hotel in Montecatini, Terme, where you'll enjoy 7 nights in this famous spa resort town. As guest time, arrival times will vary. We never schedule any activities on the day of arrival because heaven forbid your flight might be delayed and you miss out on something you paid for. So also good to know is the fact that in Europe, typically the check-in time at hotels is 3 p.m. So your room may not be ready when you arrive to the hotel. However, our porters are going to store your luggage securely at the hotel so you can then enjoy both the hotel common areas and the environs of the town of Montecatini Terme while you're waiting for your room to be ready. My recommendation always when visiting Italy is to explore the town a little bit and grab a nice, long, leisurely lunch because then you're living as the locals do. If you like wine, certainly accompany that meal with wine because that's what the locals do. Engage in some people watching, have a nice espresso, and then when you go back to the hotel, your room should probably be ready. Now, in the evening, we are going to gather with our fellow travelers to enjoy a welcome dinner during which we'll taste regional foods, accompanied by Italian wines to kick off our adventure. Then on day 3, you're going to set out on a guided visit to Lucca after breakfast at your hotel. This is one of Tuscany's best-kept secret. I just met a gentleman the other night who's considering traveling for the second time, I believe, to Italy with us. He mentioned the last time that Lucca, it was very important to him to visit Lucca because it was one of the best-kept secrets and one of his favorite parts of Tuscany. You have Renaissance walls here, beautiful Romanesque churches, medieval streets flanked by towers, and delightful squares, just being some of Lucca's charms. It's quite an old town dating back to 180 BC when it was a Roman settlement. So you'll explore the lively city center after your tour on your own, and here you can discover the piazza, the central square, not really a square in this case. That's not a very good translation because it's round, as you can see from the image here. The reason it's round is because it was built on top of a Roman amphitheater. Then in the afternoon, we're going to make our way to a Tuscan winery and learn from experts as we savor a selection of the local varietals. This is also helps in supporting local livelihoods and women in the wine industry at this female-owned, family-owned winery in the rolling hills of Monte Carlo. After that, we'll return to Montecatini for an evening at leisure. Then on day 4, we're going to experience Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance. We'll join a local Florentine guide here on an extensive walking tour, make our way through the city on foot. At the Piazza del Duomo, we'll take in the site of the impressive Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. I know that's rather a mouthful. You can just call it El Duomo, because that's what the locals call it, El Duomo. Duomo is the Italian word for cathedral, so that's the easy way to say it. Santa Maria del Fiore means St. Mary of the Flowers. So there's your Italian lesson for the day. Beautiful octagonal, towering terracotta tiled dome, one of the largest in the world and one of the largest in Europe. I think coming in a close second, if I recall correctly, to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, larger than St. Paul's in London. You'll also see the baptistry of St. John as well as Giotto's bell tower here. A little fun fact for you all is that, of course, we're all familiar with Michelangelo's beautiful statue of David. That statue was originally commissioned with the idea that it would go on top of the dome of the Cathedral of Florence. However, the residents of Florence objected to that. They wanted to see David up close and personal, so they decided to put him at eye level. We'll also take in views of the Piazza della Signoria and Santa Croce Square as well. And then you'll have the remainder of your time in Florence to explore as you wish. We're going to provide you with what's called a Ghiberti Pass for this, and this will give you access to the interior of the baptistery, access to the excavations of the ancient Basilica of Santa Reparata, which is located underneath the present cathedral, as well as admission to the Opera del Duomo Museum, which houses the original gilded bronze doors of the baptistery, which were designed by Ghiberti, hence the name of the pass, known as the Gates of Paradise. And here you can also see sculptures by Michelangelo and Donatello, and a terrace offering grand views of Brunelleschi's dome. On day 5, we'll learn more about Montecatini's history during a half-day guided walking tour, as well as visiting the historic Tetuccio Spa, known for the health benefits in its mineral drinking waters. Then in the afternoon, it's your choice. So this is our choice on tour feature. You can choose to relax in Montecatini Terme, maybe taking some spa treatments or something along those lines. Great shopping as well, and along with restaurants in Montecatini Terme. Or you could set off for Borgo a Mozzano, where you will see the Ponte del Diavolo, or Devil's Bridge, along with the nearby remains of the Gothic line, which was the Germans' last line of defense during World War II, and that will be followed by visiting the Museum of Liberation. So again, choosing to relax in Montecatini Terme, or a visit to Borgo a Mozzano, and the image you see here is the Ponte del Diavolo. That's actually a nickname because according to legend, the nickname comes from the fact that the perfectly symmetrical arches of the bridge, with their reflection, they almost make a complete circle. The belief was that the engineers must have had help from the devil. The actual name of the bridge is Ponte della Maddalena, named for Mary Magdalene, and the bridge was built in the 11th century. Then on day 6, we're going to explore the many historic sites in the ancient maritime republic of Pisa. We'll visit the Piazza dei Miracoli, or Field of Miracles, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and which contains the towering Pisa Cathedral, the Pisa Baptistery, the Monumental Cemetery, and most famously the Campanile, or the bell tower of the cathedral, which is commonly referred to, of course, as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Construction of this tower began in 1173, but it took over 200 years to complete, and then they realized that it wasn't really solid ground. The name Pisa actually means marshy land, which might explain the tower, the fact that the tower leans. You'll have the opportunity to do this as well. This is, of course, your typical exercise to do in Pisa. This is actually quite a good selfie. And then in the evening, we're going to travel to the quiet countryside to learn the secrets of traditional Tuscan cuisine. So this is what we call a responsible travel highlight. These support local communities and make a positive impact. During this travel highlight, you're going to partake in a cooking class featuring a bounty of local ingredients and culinary techniques that have been passed down for generations. This is a family-run agritourism that empowers the locals who run it, offering a traditional experience using sustainably grown and sourced ingredients. After your cooking class, you'll then sit down and enjoy the fruits of your labor during a sumptuous dinner. And then the following day, on day 7, we're going to take in the rural atmosphere of a family-owned farm among the goats, cows, and organic gardens and sample their local products. This is another responsible travel highlight. And we will visit this biodynamic farm. I really need to look up what that means because I've been saying this for quite some time now. And biodynamic, I'm sure you can use the Google to find it. This was founded by two brothers in 1988 and exemplifies sustainable agriculture. We'll then soak in the breathtaking views as we travel to the hilltop village of San Gimignano, one of the most picturesque places in Italy. San Gimignano in the Middle Ages and the early modern period was quite a wealthy town. It was very involved in the saffron trade. It's also one of the best places to get gelato in Italy, and you can actually sample if you choose to do so. Saffron-flavored gelato here. We'll explore this enchanting medieval town from its famous 14 towers to its magnificent vistas over the Tuscan countryside, and then have some free time to perhaps indulge in some gelato. After that, we'll return to Montecatini Terme for an evening at leisure, And then the following day, you have a full day at leisure in Montecatini Terme. You could also choose to embark on a truffle hunting experience with us. So like I said, if you're a foodie, this is a great tour for you. We'll take you to the picturesque Tuscan countryside where tradition meets modernity in the art of truffle hunting. Now, when I was a kid, I learned that pigs did this, but apparently the pigs eat the truffles, which is why dogs make better truffle hunters. You're going to start with a guided truffle hunt led by a local expert and their specially trained dogs. You wander along unpaved trails through fields and woods and learn about the fascinating world of truffles and techniques used to forage these hidden gems. After the hunt, you'll indulge in a buffet lunch served in a rustic veranda and savor the flavors of freshly foraged truffles, one of Italy's most prized culinary treasures, paired with local delicacies and the warm hospitality of your hosts. And in the evening, in case if you did go on that Tuscany truffle hunting tour, hopefully you'll have left room because we are going to join our travel companions once more for a farewell dinner. And the next morning, we will transfer you to Florence Airport for your return journey home, hopefully with many fond memories of this beautiful part of the world, incomparable part of the world. And like I said at the beginning of this presentation, you can extend your stay. We have a pre-tour extension we offer of Rome over 3 nights with 4 meals included. This is a fully guided extension, meaning that you still have the benefits of having a tour manager with you throughout this extension. And it would look like this. Essentially, day 1 being your departure day from the U.S. Day 2, after an overnight flight, you'll get settled into Rome for your 3-night stay. And dinner is on your own this evening. The next morning, we'll cross the invisible border separating Rome from the Vatican State for a guided tour of the Vatican Museums in St. Peter's Basilica, including the wonders of the Sistine Chapel, as well as La Pietà, the beautiful statue by Michelangelo located in St. Peter's Basilica. Then the afternoon is yours to explore more of the Italian capital at your leisure. We make suggestions like strolling through the Borghese Gardens. I mean, there are just so many things to do in Rome, so many sites, so many museums, so much shopping, so much food, that I would really probably prefer to leave the suggestions up to your tour manager. Day 4, you're going to start your morning with a locally guided tour of the Eternal City's most iconic monuments. You'll see the Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, which is a church that is built inside of an ancient Roman temple, one of my favorite sites in Rome, and also the Piazza Navona, which was built on an ancient Roman amphitheater, so it's one of those long, it was actually a hippodrome, so it's a very long square full of beautiful Baroque fountains. And then the remainder of that day is yours. One suggestion we like to make in the evening is considering an optional food tour to taste your way around the Bohemian Trastevere district of Rome. This is the neighborhood district located south of the Vatican state. Trastevere meaning across the Tiber in Italian. And then the following day, you would say Arrivederci Roma, and we'll transfer you to join your tour of Tuscany. And then the post-tour extension, this foodie extension, famous food and Ferrari Emilia region. This is a 2-night extension with 3 meals included, again fully guided so that you have the benefits of a tour manager with you throughout. And this would involve, after completing your tour of Tuscany, you'll travel through the Apennine Mountains, cross from Tuscany into the Emilia region, which is one of the most fertile regions of Italy and a real haven for foodies as well as creatives. It's often referred to as the Food Valley of Italy, and known for those delicacies like Parma ham, culatello, Parmesan cheese, and balsamic vinegar. Also a real hub of innovation. So many of Italy's famous motor car companies come from this area, including Ducati, Maserati, Lamborghini, and most famous of all, of course, Ferrari. We'll pause in Modena, the hometown of Enzo Ferrari, and after some free time for lunch on your own, you'll explore with us the Ferrari Museum, showcasing vintage vehicles, several famous engines, and a multimedia presentation. And then we'll continue on to Reggio Emilia, which will be your home for the next 2 nights. You'll check into your hotel, then join your guide for an orientation walk before an evening of leisure. Then on day 10, early in the morning, we'll visit a local dairy producing Parmigiano Reggiano cheese according to the traditional codes dating back to the 1300s. After that, we'll pause in agritourism where the family still ages their own balsamic vinegar production in the attic as countless generations have done before them. And here we'll enjoy a tasting and a light lunch. We'll then return to Reggio Emilia for an afternoon of leisure. Perhaps you'll explore Reggio's Museo del Tricolore, which is shown in this image here. So that's the Museum of the Tricolor, which is the nickname for the three-colored national flag of Italy. And you might recall I said earlier that Italy was unified in 1861. Guess what year they designed the flag? 1797. Isn't that interesting? So the flag of Italy was designed long before Italy got together and everyone in Italy became friends. Then the next day, your Italian sojourn will come to a close. You'll bid arrivederci to Reggio Emilia and transfer to the Bologna airport for your return flight home. And then just wrapping up here, you've got the hard facts and numbers on the screen for you about this tour. Again, Spotlight on Tuscany taking place from the 20th through the 28th of May of 2026. Currently, the deposit for all of our tours is $698 per person. Our cancel for any reason trip insurance for this tour is just $549 per person, and we've got space locked in at these prices with Shepherd University Alumni Association until the 21st of November of 2025. You'll also might notice that the insurance is also 100% fully refundable up to that same date. So what that means is, and I always like to describe this in detail because when I first heard it, I found it too good to be true. Whoever heard of getting an insurance premium back if you don't use the insurance? This is precisely what we're talking about here. So hypothetical scenario, you decide to book this tour with us tonight and you purchase our cancel for any reason trip insurance, but then something comes up between now and November 21st of 2025 causing you to have to cancel your trip with us. You simply give us a call, notify us of your need to cancel, and you will receive a full refund of the monies that you paid towards your trip, and you will also get your insurance premium back, so you will be out at exactly $0 at that point. Once we get past the date of the 21st of November of 2025, if you have purchased our cancel for any reason trip insurance and for some reason you need to cancel, not to worry. As long as you notify us no later than the day prior to departure, you can still cancel with us, get a full refund of the monies you paid towards your trip. However, at that point, you would lose the insurance premium. So we do have a little bit of an escape hatch, a little bit of an emergency exit for you here as well. And then the price per person sharing a double room with round-trip economy class airfare from the greater Washington area included is just $4,599 per person, plus that insurance premium optional, of course, but we highly recommend it up to $549 per person. You can book this trip through this web link. This is also available in the brochures that we've distributed through Shepherd University Alumni Association. You can learn much more about this trip at this web page than I'm able to tell you about in this short space in time. Learn more about the cancel for any reason trip insurance. And what I like about these web pages we construct as well is that there's a lot of useful traveler tips and tricks for you there. You can check out, register for this tour and check out with a secure connection through this web page, and we accept all major credit cards. And that wraps up this presentation for this evening. Thank you once again for your time, your interest, and your attention, and your patience with me as I walk you through this wonderful tour. Once again, thank you.
Thanks so much, Paul. That was a lot of information. I know we always have like a lot of things happening during these info sessions, but we want to make sure we give everybody the best overview that we can for each of these tours. So as far as questions go, I don't see anything in our comment section right now, but just to kind of reiterate, I know like the price of the tours, sometimes people get a little bit of a sticker shock, so I want to reiterate things that Paul has already said, that this is an all-inclusive price, and the airfare is included, everything pretty much on your tour, those meals that he talked about, all of the excursions. The only thing that would be above and beyond is that insurance and any optional excursions that you might want to purchase that are offered, or those pre and post night extensions. Paul, any other little tidbits you want to include, or if you have any personal stories about your trips to potentially Italy or other places that you learned something about international travel?
Well, I've been traveling internationally since I was basically a baby because my parents are European. But I do have something what that point you made just now was really good, and I want to kind of piggyback on that if I could, which is that I've been working in both guided and custom travel for many years, and I found it's become axiomatic, and I saw this years ago in the travel industry, that apples to apples, kind of doing it yourself versus going on a guided tour, it's always more economical to go on a guided tour. Like if you break it down, if you took every single piece of hotel accommodation, sightseeing, meals that we include in this tour, every single experience, the tour managers, the guide, and try to put all that together yourself, I have no doubt that the price would be much higher than the price that everyone saw on their screen just a few moments ago. Plus, you're getting that tour manager with you, someone who's taking care of you every step of the way and really keeping you informed. And I'll tell you, here's one of my travel stories. We all went to Sicily a couple of years ago. With Colette, had a wonderful, wonderful tour manager. He actually got a promotion while we were over there. And every time there was a bit of a lull on the bus, he would start talking. I mean, we learned about Italian wines, and I mean, it was like he was a wine expert. It was like he was a sommelier. We learned about Italian olive oil, how to store it, which types you should use for which things, that sort of thing, how seriously they take it over there. We even learned, all these Italian gestures, like drink wine and this is really good and stuff like that. I learned the one that we all know in America. We all think it's vulgar. It's actually not. It just means I don't care. So you really learn amazing things. And I've been going to Italy for years, but every time I go and I have a guide or a tour manager, I just learn so much. And, that really can't be replaced when we kind of visit a place on our own without any local assistance. So I think that's important to mention.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was telling Paul before we went live tonight that it's been almost 20 years since I've been to Italy, and it was in a group tour experience, and I highly recommend group touring, especially for people who aren't super experienced travelers, or this is your first time going international. These types of tours are really the best way to dip your toe into that water and figure out if it's something you want to continue doing. So that's our presentation for tonight. If there's questions, or if anybody's interested and wants to get some more details, you can call my office directly. You can go to our website. I've put the link to the tour itinerary that Paul had up on the screen a few minutes ago in the comments of this video, so you can always go there and find out more details and find information on how to book your tour. So Paul, thank you again for joining us tonight, and we'll see you for the next one.
Looking forward to it, Katie. Thank you so much, and see you again soon.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great night. Take care, Katie.